Jazz Jennings grew up in front of the world. From a young age, she showed courage that most adults struggle to find. As a proud transgender girl, she opened her heart and life to millions. But behind the smiles and cameras, Jazz faced a lot of pain. From body image struggles to mental health battles, her journey has been anything but easy. Fame didn't protect her from sadness. And even today, her path is full of challenges. Yet somehow she keeps going. Her strength is real, and so is her heartbreak. Join us as we take a closer look at Jazz Jennings' life and what she's going through now. A girl named Jazz. Jazz Jennings was born on October 6, 2000, in West Palm Beach, Florida. She was the youngest in her family, with one older sister named Ari, and twin brothers, Sander and Griffin. Her parents, Jeanette and Greg, were supportive from the very beginning. The family is Jewish, and Greg works as an estate attorney. Jazz was assigned male at birth, but from the age of 2, she began to show signs that she identified as a girl. Her mother said Jazz loved anything sparkly and pink and was always very feminine. At just 4 years old, she was diagnosed with gender dysphoria, making her one of the youngest children ever to receive that diagnosis. By her 5th birthday, she came out to her friends and family as transgender. That was only the beginning. At age 6, Jazz appeared on national TV for the first time. She sat down with Barbara Walters on 2020 and spoke openly about her gender identity. To protect their privacy, her family started using the last name Jennings. While her parents and siblings always stood by her, things weren't easy outside the home. She was bullied in school and even banned from playing on the girls' soccer team. But Jazz didn't give up. She connected with other transgender kids through events and camps like Camp Aranutik. She kept going, even when people didn't understand her. As she got older, Jazz made more steps in her transition. At age 11, she began puberty blockers. This helped delay changes in her body that didn't match her gender identity. By 14, she started hormone therapy to help her look and feel more like herself. But life in high school was still hard. She had trouble making romantic connections and said being transgender made things complicated socially. In 2018, Jazz lost 30 pounds to prepare for gender-affirming surgery. Her doctor, Jess Ting, said the surgery was very rare and difficult. They had to remove tissue from her lower pelvic area and upper thighs, something only done a few times before. After the surgery, Jazz had complications and needed another surgery later that year to fix the problems. She didn't let the pain stop her. Jazz graduated in 2019 from Broward Virtual Education High School, an online program. She was the valedictorian and even decorated her graduation cap in rainbow colors. She got accepted into Harvard University but decided to take a break for mental health reasons. During that time, she had a 3rd surgery, this time for cosmetic adjustments. Even in the face of struggle, Jazz kept her head high and focused on healing. Stepping into the spotlight, Jazz and her family began speaking out when she was just 6 years old. They appeared on different TV shows, including 2020 and The Rosie Show, where she appeared with Chaz Bono. These interviews helped people understand what it was like to be a transgender child. In 2007, Jazz's parents took another big step. They started the Trans Kids Purple Rainbow Foundation. The goal was to help other transgender kids going through similar struggles. Jazz became an honorary co-founder of the group. In 2011, the Oprah Winfrey Network aired a documentary about Jazz's life. It was called I Am Jazz, A Family in Transition. It gave people a closer look at her daily life, her family, and her journey as a young transgender girl. It wasn't just about her, it was also about how her family learned and grew with her. The documentary touched many hearts and led to something even bigger a few years later. By 2015, Jazz's life was about to change again. This time, the world would follow her story in a more personal and regular way, through reality TV. What started as one documentary turned into a full series, showing her life every week. And people watched. A lot of people. A show called I Am Jazz. I Am Jazz is a reality TV show that follows Jazz Jennings and her family. It aired on TLC and first premiered on July 15, 2015. The show focuses on Jazz's life as a teenager, dealing with regular issues like school, friendships, and family, but also the added challenges of being transgender. The show gives a close-up view of her day-to-day life, her thoughts, and the support she receives from her family. The Jennings family, which includes her siblings, parents, and grandparents, also shares their thoughts and feelings throughout the show. They talk about how Jazz's journey has affected them and how they try to support her. Jazz was about to start high school when the show began, and her story became even more real for viewers as they watched her grow up on screen. The name I Am Jazz actually came from the earlier documentary. The series was almost called All That Jazz, but the name was changed. The first episode aired on the same night that Caitlyn Jenner gave her speech at the ESPY Awards. That moment marked a shift in how transgender stories were shown on TV. Filming wasn't easy. Jazz and her family had cameras around 5 days a week, including weekends, but they allowed it because they wanted to share their story and help others understand. The show gained attention quickly. TLC renewed it for a 6th season in 2019, which aired in early 2020. Then, in June 2021, a 7th season was confirmed, and filming started soon after. The show even made its way to other countries. In Australia, it aired on TLC in December 2015. The impact and what viewers saw. I Am Jazz wasn't just another reality show. It became an important part of a bigger conversation. Critics praised the show for being honest, respectful, and emotional. Brian Lowry from Variety said it was sensitively constructed and a great change for a network known for more dramatic shows. He called it simply told and heartfelt. James Poniwozik, a writer for Time, said the show felt like a sign of a new era. He explained that the show wasn't just about Jazz, it was about how her entire family was going through a transition in their own way. Mark Silver from The Washington Post pointed out that many shows about transgender people were popping up at the time. He mentioned Caitlyn Jenner's I Am Kate, but said that Jazz brought her own humor and honesty that stood out. In fact, Mark said that Jazz might be a hard act for even Caitlyn Jenner to follow. The show also received awards. At the 27th Annual GLAAD Media Awards, I Am Jazz tied for the title of Outstanding Reality Program. It also won the Reality TV Award for Best Docu-Series in 2020. These awards proved that people were not only watching, but were deeply moved by Jazz's story. But through all the attention and praise, Jazz kept things real. She shared her ups and downs, her happy days, and her darkest moments. Whether it was about her surgeries, her mental health, or her personal struggles, she was honest with her viewers. She said that puberty blockers saved her life, and that shows just how serious things were. Her bravery helped others feel less alone. Fighting for change at a young age. In 2013, Jazz Jennings started something special. She created a company called Purple Rainbow Tails. In this company, she made and sold rubber mermaid tails to raise money for transgender kids. This was more than just a creative business. It was Jazz's way of giving back and helping others like her. That same year, Jazz was back on 2020 with Barbara Walters. They talked about one of her biggest struggles, her fight to play on the girls' soccer team. She had spent 2.5 years trying to change the rules set by the United States Soccer Federation. Jazz didn't do it alone. With help from the National Center for Lesbian Rights, she won. The soccer rules were changed, allowing transgender students to join teams that matched their gender. This was a big step for her and for many others. Jazz also shared her story through books. In 2014, she co-wrote a children's book called I Am Jazz with Jessica Herthel. The book talked about her life and what it means to grow up as a transgender child. But not everyone accepted it. The book ended up being one of the most banned in the United States. Even with the pushback, Jazz didn't back down. That same year, she stood proudly on the stage at the GLAAD Media Awards, next to Zach Walls and Lauren Foster. It was clear she was becoming a strong voice for the transgender community. And people were noticing. A young star breaking barriers. By the end of 2014, Jazz had received many honors. Time magazine named her one of the 25 most influential teens of 2014. She was the youngest person ever to appear on Out's Out 100 list and Advocate's 40 Under 40. She was also named in Out's Trans 100 list and chosen as a youth ambassador by the Human Rights Campaign. That same year, she received the Youth Trailblazer Award from Logo TV. These awards were proof that her voice mattered. In March 2015, Johnson & Johnson signed Jazz to appear in their Clean and Clear commercials. She became the face of their See the Real Me campaign. Jazz opened up about growing up transgender and how hard it could be. She also joined the NOH8 campaign as a model, standing up for equality. That year, she also wrote for Time magazine's 100 Most Influential People list. She wrote the piece about Laverne Cox, another strong transgender voice. This showed that Jazz wasn't just a subject of attention, she was also lifting others up. Her show I Am Jazz also kept going strong. The reality series, which started in 2015, gave viewers an inside look into her daily life. By 2021, the show had reached its 7th season. Through the ups and downs, Jazz allowed the world to see her truth. In 2016, she wrote a memoir titled Being Jazz: My Life as a Transgender Teen. The book shared more personal thoughts and gave readers a chance to understand her life even deeper. Jazz's story wasn't just about TV appearances or magazine covers. It was about honesty, growth, and courage. Jazz's voice reaches new places. In 2017, something new happened. The Tunner Doll Company announced that they would make a doll based on Jazz. It would be the first doll ever marketed as transgender. This was a big deal in the world of toys, and it made headlines. That same year, Jazz tried something different. She lent her voice to a cartoon character. She played a teenage transgender girl named Zadie in the animated show Danger and Eggs. The episode was about acceptance and took place at a Pride event. Jazz called the experience groundbreaking. She said it was powerful, meaningful, and special. It was another way she helped others understand what it means to be different, and proud of it. The following year, in 2018, Jazz took on an acting role. She starred in a short film called Denim. The story was about a transgender teen named Michaela. In the film, someone takes a photo of her in the girls' bathroom and shares it online. The movie showed what many transgender teens go through in real life. It was released on Amazon Prime Video in 2019. That same year, Jazz appeared in the show What Would You Do? And voiced a character named Lily the Fairy in The Bravest Knight, another animated series. Through every role, Jazz continued to break barriers and speak out for kids like her. In her personal life, Jazz has always been honest. In 2012, during her interview with Barbara Walters, she said she was romantically attracted to boys, but was nervous about dating because she was transgender. In a 2014 Q&A video on her YouTube channel, Jazz shared something more. She said she was pansexual. That means she loves people for who they are inside, no matter their gender. She said, "I love people for their personality." In 2013, Jazz also spoke about her dream to become a mother one day. Even with all the struggles, she still held on to that hope. A battle you can't always see. You see, at just 15 years old, Jazz Jennings had already spent nearly a decade sharing her life with the world. By 2016, she had been named one of Time's 25 most influential teens, not once, but twice. Her new book, Being Jazz: My Life as a Transgender Teen, had just been released, and Season 2 of her show I Am Jazz was about to premiere. From the outside, her life looked full of success. But on the inside, Jazz was fighting a painful and silent battle: depression. And she wanted to talk about it. She said, "My depression has nothing to do with me being transgender." Jazz explained that her depression was genetic, and that her mother had it too. She opened up about what it felt like during those dark times. She said she had no hope, no excitement for the future. She was stuck in the past, thinking about bad choices and negative thoughts. "It was a really hard time for me," she said. Sharing those memories in her book was the hardest part for her. When asked what advice she would give to someone going through depression, Jazz admitted that it's not easy. She remembered how she didn't want to talk to anyone, not even her friends. If they tried to help, she would push them away. But looking back, she said, "Try to be supportive. Try to provide love. If they say they want to be left alone, leave them alone and tell an adult." Jazz knew how dangerous depression can be. She said it can lead to suicidal thoughts. What helped her the most was her mother's love. "She was by my side throughout the whole process, crying with me when I was crying," Jazz said. That support made her believe she could keep moving forward. Finding light in the dark. Even when she didn't feel like talking about her feelings, Jazz had to find a way to fight through the sadness. She explained that it took something deep inside, what she called inner resolve. When she felt herself sinking into depression, she would try to take control. "I have to tell myself, no, focus, focus, focus. Do this, do this, do this." Jazz didn't let her mind shut down. She forced herself to keep going. She believed that thinking positively could help her find peace again. Sometimes it would happen quickly. She would be upset one moment, then calm the next. "It will happen in the blink of an eye," she said. One moment she was crying or overwhelmed, and the next she was saying, "I'm so sorry. I'm okay now." Jazz knew that these changes were real and confusing, but she kept working on herself every day. Even in her hardest moments, she pushed herself to believe that things would get better. Her creative side also helped. Jazz loved photography and filmmaking. She said she had just bought a new professional camera and planned to make short films during the summer. She even made a separate Instagram account just for her photo edits. Her inspirations included popular Instagram artists like Christina Webb and Anna Guillen Schilling. Creating art gave her something to look forward to. It was a way to express herself when words were too hard to find. Facing the haters with courage. As a public figure, Jazz had to deal with more than just personal struggles. She also faced bullies, especially online. On social media, she said every photo she posted had at least one hateful comment. While some of her fans tried to defend her, Jazz said the arguments in the comments could get intense. It was exhausting, but instead of letting the hate bring her down, Jazz tried to ignore it. "I try not to read the comments because it's not worth it," she said. She had a clear message for those who judge her. If someone is judging you without knowing the content of your character, don't listen to them. Jazz refused to let hate define her. "It's not okay. I'm not going to tolerate it," she said. In fact, the hate only made her stronger. It reminded her that there was still so much education needed in the world. She promised to keep speaking up until people truly understood. Her show, I Am Jazz, didn't hide the hate either. In Season 2, viewers would see what Jazz went through, not just online, but in person too. She wanted people to see the truth about cyberbullying. It's not just words on a screen, it's real pain. But she stood tall and kept going. Jazz used her platform to speak out, not just for herself, but for the entire transgender community. Her bravery became part of her message. Don't let hate win. What she wants the world to learn. Jazz didn't just share her story. She had lessons she wanted the world to learn. When asked what schools should teach in health class, she said one simple thing: the difference between gender and sexuality. Sexuality is who you're interested in, But gender identity is who you want to be. Jazz believed that teaching this would help all students, not just LGBTQ kids. If classmates understood better, they might be more accepting. It would create safer, more supportive schools. She also had a message for transgender kids whose parents didn't accept them. She said it was heartbreaking, but true, that some parents neglect their children. And when that happens, Jazz said, they need to create their own family. That means finding people who support and love you for who you are. For kids whose parents do love them but don't understand, Jazz had hope. They will come around, she said. Jazz shared something her mom often said to parents struggling with acceptance. Would you rather have a dead son or a living daughter? Or, would you rather have a dead daughter or a living son? These powerful questions showed how serious it can be. Jazz said that nearly half of transgender youth under 21 try to take their own lives. That's why support from parents and family matters so much. It can save lives. When asked what she would tell the next president, Jazz didn't hesitate. Listen to Obama, she said. For her, it was all about equality. Everyone deserves to be loved, and we deserve to love ourselves. Jazz dreamed of a world where people can live as their true selves. She hoped the next president could help create that kind of world, one filled with love, acceptance, and freedom. Speaking of which, in April 2018, Jazz Jennings opened up about preparing for her gender confirmation surgery. A journey through pain and recovery. She had to lose 30 pounds before the operation, as instructed by her doctors. The surgery was scheduled for June 20th, 2018, and was done by Dr. Jess Ting and Dr. Marcy Bowers. The surgery itself was a success, but things didn't stay smooth for long. Jazz faced medical complications afterward and had to go through another procedure to fix them. These challenges were not just physical, they were emotional too. Jazz later talked about her struggles with mental health and weight gain. She shared that she has a condition called binge eating disorder. After being accepted into Harvard, Jazz started gaining weight quickly. She said the stress and her mental health struggles made her turn to food. Over time, she gained nearly 100 pounds, which led her to delay going to college. She shared that this time in her life was very difficult, and she felt ashamed when her family fat-shamed her. But Jazz didn't give up. By June 2025, she proudly shared that she had lost 100 pounds over 2 years. In Season 7 of I Am Jazz, Jazz gave fans a closer look at this journey. She admitted, "I started binge eating, and I gained weight, and more weight, and more weight." In the show, she tried to play tennis and kickball with her friends, but said she couldn't move the way she used to. She confessed, "Having all this extra weight, I can't do so many things with my body that I used to be able to do." It wasn't just about how she looked. It was about how she felt and what she couldn't enjoy anymore. Facing fat-shaming and finding her strength. Jazz said clearly on camera, "I do experience fat-shaming from my family. It makes me feel really humiliated." Even though her family wanted to help, their comments hurt her deeply. Still, Jazz faced her challenges with honesty. On Instagram, she talked about her binge eating, saying, "It's a disease in which I'm not only addicted to food, but I eat it in large quantities." She even posted a before and after photo of herself, saying she wanted to hold herself accountable. In her post, Jazz wrote, "I've been saying I'm ready to turn over a new leaf, but I'm running out of trees now." She was tired of making promises to herself and not following through. She knew it was time to take real action. With support from doctors, friends, and her family, Jazz said she was ready to commit to changing her habits. But she also said something very important. "At the end of the day, I have to be the one committed toward bettering myself." Her journey wasn't easy, but it was powerful. On I Am Jazz, she didn't hide her feelings or her setbacks. She showed everything, from the tough moments to the small wins. and in every scene, viewers saw how much courage it took to keep moving forward. Her story reminded people that change takes time, and real healing comes from within. As she said, "Thanks for understanding the battle I'm fighting to win." A mother's voice and a daughter's courage. In 2023, Jazz's mother, Jazz Jennings, shared her own memories. She talked about how hard it was to protect Jazz when she was little. Jeanette said she was always putting out fires to make sure Jazz didn't get hurt. One moment stayed with her. She remembered walking Jazz into preschool, and people were whispering and pointing. "I held my hand high and held my child's hand," Jeanette said, "and I said, 'We're going to go in there and don't care what the other kids think, and it doesn't matter what the parents think. You're special, you're unique, you're you, and I'm so proud of you.'" Jeanette had to say this to a 4-year-old because the other kids were already making fun of Jazz for acting girly. In that same episode, Jeanette gave a speech at a rally in Florida. She was speaking on behalf of transgender kids like Jazz who needed gender-affirming care. She explained how puberty blockers had saved her daughter's life. "We were told by medical professionals that 40 to 50% of kids like Jazz would attempt suicide without their gender-affirming care," she said. Jeanette explained that Jazz had nightmares about male puberty, like having facial hair. Jazz herself has told us if she was forced to go through male puberty, she would have taken her life, she said. Jeanette got emotional as she spoke. After extensive guidance from medical professionals, we promised we'd do everything in our power to ensure that Jazz would be able to live as a girl. Now, she said, Jazz was living her dreams, studying at Harvard, and changing the world in her own way. Her father, Jazz Jennings, also praised Jeanette for all her efforts. He said, "Jeanette is a big advocate, and we're proud of her for doing that. I can't always be where she is, but I'm there in spirit." From the spotlight to Harvard halls. In 2024, Jazz Jennings shared a different side of her life. She was now a student at Harvard University, and though she had once lived her life on TV, she was choosing to slow things down. Jazz explained that she's still that bubbly, kind person from the show, but now she's focused on growing and taking care of herself. She said, "I can't always take care of the world or put myself out there as much." It was time for her to rest, reflect, and heal. Jazz also spoke about how hard it is to balance being a student and an activist. In her home state of Florida, new laws had banned gender-affirming care for trans youth, including puberty blockers and hormones. Jazz said, "It's hard knowing that there's still so much discrimination going on in Florida. I'm not even allowed to use the women's restroom in public." But she stood strong. "I don't care," she said. "I still use the women's restroom in public. Because what am I supposed to do? Use the men's restroom? Like, that just makes me uncomfortable." She also said, "We're just human beings trying to be ourselves. We're not hurting anyone." Jazz didn't see herself as a political person. "I don't know all the policies. I don't know all the details of everything, but I know what my experience is as a trans woman and who I am." That, she believed, was powerful enough. At Harvard, she wasn't very involved in LGBTQ+ spaces, not because she didn't care, but because social anxiety made it hard. Being famous added more pressure. "It puts pressure on me to be this person that people view me as," she said. Still, she hoped to be more involved in the future. Her mom even pushed her, saying, "You need to go to the queer center more." Jazz laughed, mimicking her mom's voice in a playful way. Jazz said she was still looking for love. "I have never been in love before," she shared. Her mom believed she'd find love in a space where people are more open to dating a trans woman. Jazz hoped to share her show one day with a future partner. "Once I'm deep into a romantic relationship, I want to watch the show back with my partner and just laugh at it," she said. As for what she'll do after graduation, she wasn't sure. Maybe she'd go back into art. maybe she'd return to the screen. "We'll see where life takes me," she said. And no matter where it does, Jazz Jennings will keep moving forward, just like she always has. Which part of Jazz's story inspires you the most, and why? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories from Hollywood's fascinating history. See you next time!